Hello and welcome. I am Maestra Teacher and this is my 5th grade Oasis channel. I've been a teacher for more than 20 years and I've taught gen ed and bilingual classes as well. In today's video, we will be discussing the topic of writing. If you are a new teacher or new to 5th grade, know that writing is a big part of your language arts class. Many reading teachers usually saw writing more as a side dish, I would say, than the main course because they will always give priority to the reading class. But things have changed, and especially now in the state of Texas, you have to actually teach writing with the same priority and importance as reading. I will be sharing with you then what I think are my main concerns with the writing class, main problems that I see with it, and what are the solutions and strategies I am using nowadays to help my students succeed in writing. The first problem I see with writing, it has to do with scheduling. A lot of 5th grade classes and a lot of 4th grade also, you as a writing teacher will only get those students for only 1 hour and a half, 90 minutes, or maybe even less times. So how can you go ahead and teach a whole reading block plus the writing one? There's got to be a better way of planning, or maybe assigning certain days for the reading class only and do some writing in it, but then also another day of the week where you can focus mainly on writing only. There has been lack of training, at least for my school and my district, for it, and probably because I feel we are blind leading blind. A lot of the instructional coaches and people above us who are supposed to train teachers didn't have to teach a reading and writing test combined. And one more quick note is that remember that writing, out of the 4 language arts component, listening, speaking, reading, and writing will always be the toughest one. Because especially when you're a second language learner like I am, everybody knows that listening comes naturally, and that's part of us naturally listening. Speaking, you're taught to speak. You don't have to, you're just imitating sounds. But reading has to go hand in hand with writing. You have a lot of kids who are non-readers, and then you're demanding from them to write these huge essays, paragraphs, and so on when they can barely read. Reading and writing go together. If you have non-reader students, that's going to be a tough one. And one more thing I think is difficult for writing has to do with providing feedback. It is very time consuming to read paragraphs and essays constantly to provide feedback. So you have to create your work, and maybe you can have students work in pairs to provide feedback to each other before they even come to you. The first thing I did to help myself and help my students was to begin learning how to really incorporate and bring writing to a main focus in my class. I bought a couple of books. I went reading again through the writing workshop book. So I began reading, researching, watching other people doing it, and kind of got the gist and idea of what I was going to do. In 5th grade and 4th grade as well, from 3 to 5th grade, basically there's 4 main things that you are going to focus when you're teaching writing. Besides spelling, conventions, capitalization, and all that, these are the 4 that are basically going to be tested in the state test. Number 1, revising. Number 2, editing. Number 3, short constructive responses. And number 4, long constructive responses. So you have to be teaching these 4 concepts constantly. There are a few ways you can do revising in your classroom. A lot of teachers at my school do revising every morning, like in their bell ringers or do nows. They have this little book that I'm showing here, which is useful because you do it on a daily basis. As soon as the kids walk in the classroom, they practice a revising sentence, as you can see here in the book. So they carry these books with them, and as soon as they walk in, they know that they have to do the practice of the day with these revising sentences. If you don't have this kind of books, you can create your own sentence. You can display it on your board or in your screen, and students should be able to practice revising it every day. There are also many resources, meaning books of this kind that I'm showing here. These are books that are from the companies that create books to practice for state tests. And these are writing books, and they provide and bring many revising practices. So you can do maybe once daily, or maybe as homework or as a center, or maybe on Fridays or whatever day. You just make for editing, you can provide different activities on a daily basis on spelling corrections, and you can model as well for them. There's also plenty of books that provide editing activities and exercises that you can practice with them daily. For short constructive responses, I like to pair those a lot with any reading passages that we're doing. Every time we do a story or we read a nonfiction text, I ask them to answer a short constructive response, and that's how I do it. That's how we practice it over and over. So basically, this one I do every single day. They can do it in their journals, they can do it in a piece of paper, or they can even do it in the computer. I try to emphasize this every time I do short constructive responses, that they have to look back at the text to provide some evidence from the text. Also, I reminded that all the sentences begin with capital letters, they end with periods, that they should use some transitional words, even right there in the same paragraph, and so on. So you give them constant feedback so the students can get better at it. And now for the long constructive response, for that one, you can again pair it to anything that you're doing in the reading class and bring that theme from reading and have them write a whole essay about it. Usually at this level, I shoot for them to write about 3-4 paragraphs, and 5 will be a miracle, but it could happen. And I try to teach them using the different writing process components, where we of course brainstorm, then we revise, we edit, and do all the process. But besides, I do practices that are in paper, but I also do the digital ones so they get used to it. And by the time we are very close to the test, all the practices I do them in the computer. But I lately been using a lot the one of Teachers Pay Teachers called Oasis. For me, that one is easy for the kids for them to handle. And as you can see here, they can use the different tools to highlight. They can put text box and explain their choices, and they can of course type in for their short constructive responses and their long ones, and they can send it to me through Google Classroom, and that way I can check on them and provide feedback for them. The last thing I would like to mention is that in order for you to upload all these practices to the computer or to Oasis or Google Classroom, there is this great app called Tiny Scanner that you can download it to your phone, and with it you can scan any books that you have, and then upload it to the different platforms so the students can use. You upload them and they look like this, and you don't have to go through any trouble of making copies or anything like that. Thank you for watching my video. Please like it and subscribe to my channel. I hope you have a wonderful day, and see you soon.